There may be a power shift in our state legislature if one candidate has his way. Good evening and welcome to My State of Mind on this Monday evening. I am Dan York. It is an honor and a pleasure to have you, and we are now full throttle. Down the stretch we come to Election Day. You know, people ask me all the time, Dan, are you getting tired of Election Day? Well, here's the thing, or the election season, really. I got to come to work every day. Just like you, just like you have to come to work every day. So no, I'm not tired of it. I mean, this is the the engine that runs the democracy, for heaven's sakes. I mean, the political races are oh so important, and the frustration I have sometimes is that we just can't get to all of the local races, even though they mean so much. We put out an invitation to try to reach Senate President Teresa Paiva-Weed, the Senate President. Did I say that twice? Yeah, it's Monday. And no go. Exposure is not necessarily what a lot of these incumbents want, and certainly Democratic incumbents play the game of rope-a-dope as much as they need to. Unless they're in trouble, then they need to get in front of the camera. I don't know if Teresa Paiva-Weed, the Senate President from Newport Jamestown District, thinks she's in trouble, but the guy running against her is Mike Smith, and he says he's got the mojo going, and he is my guest this evening in an interview that we taped late last week due to some production schedules. So stay tuned for that, okay? In the meantime, because we took a kind of a long period of time with Mike, I've got a shorter rundown here for you this evening. This clearly has been a battle between the World Health Organizations, the United States, airports. What do we do? It's becoming nothing but I know a guy. That's supposed to be a bad way to run Providence and a bad way to run Rhode Island, but as long as someone says that they like you, know a guy is okay. And this was kind of discouraging. Late last week, I stopped in for a debate, Attorney General's office, and nobody showed. And of course, we'll check in with your state of mind. So, yeah, headline for the latest Obama situation is that we've got some challenges trying to figure out who now to keep in quarantine and for what period of time. This New Jersey nurse says, look, I'm fine. I'm fine. I go across the ocean to do some great work. I come back and I'm fine. CBS has the latest.
I am completely healthy and with no symptoms.
Nurse Casey Hickox says the mandatory 21-day quarantine imposed on her by the state of New Jersey is inhumane. Hickox returned to the U.S. Friday after caring for patients with Ebola in Sierra Leone. Sunday, she criticized Governor Chris Christie's statement that she was obviously ill.
Well, I don't think he's a doctor, and secondly, he's never laid eyes on me. And thirdly, I have been asymptomatic since I've been here.
Hickox says her Ebola tests have come back negative twice. Governor Christie told Fox News Sunday he has no second thoughts.
It was my conclusion that we needed to do this to protect the public health of the people of New Jersey.
The politics of Ebola sometimes supersede the practicalities of Ebola, right? Well, she was threatening to sue. She got out today, just prior to our production time for the broadcast today. She got out of quarantine. But it really leaves a dilemma between organizations that say, listen, if you're going to quarantine everybody who provides medical services in West Africa when they come home to America, maybe they're not going to want to go to West Africa in the first place. So I would think, though, that most of these medical officials would understand the worry back on this side of the pond and would go along to get along, but it doesn't seem like it's going that way. Speaking of Chris Christie, he is one of the many who are into the big league endorsement business now. He is coming back tomorrow for Allen Fung. He had been here previously once, right, a couple of weeks ago. And then you get headlines like this, which just crack me up. I mean, this is President Obama endorses Jorge Elorza. I'm sorry. Jorge Elorza is so thrilled over this endorsement. Of course, there was Hillary and Michelle is coming in. So let's just make a note here. They're the major league players, right? So Hillary was in last week for Gina Raimondo, and Christie will be in tomorrow for Allen Fung, and then Michelle Obama will be in on Thursday for Gina Raimondo. And then the president will be in for Gina Raimondo at the end of the week on Friday. And of course, that headline, which cracks me up, Jorge Elorza, the candidate for mayor, gets Obama's endorsement. And he's so thrilled about that. Why? Because he gets to meet the president for the first time. How much do you think the president knows about Jorge Elorza? Doesn't matter. Just run out the endorsements. It's crazy. And here's a little ditty here for you. You know, this is the Attorney General's race over at Laurel Mead last week. I stopped by to see it. That is Dan York iPhone video right there. Counting staff of Laurel Mead and the candidates. 35 people showed up for a race for what has got to be the most important law enforcement position in Rhode Island, no doubt, right? 35 people. Peter Kilmartin has been able to hide in this race, and Dawson Hodgson is hot on his trail. But people aren't hot enough paying attention to it. Not good. When we come back, Mike Smith, he's running for Senate against the Senate president. Stay with us. Welcome, Mr. Smith. It is nice to have you aboard.
Thank you for having me.
You were here, what, a couple of months ago? And
in July,
you were this fledgling state Senate candidate that was, I think, fairly unwitting about what the heck he was getting into.
It was,
do you agree?
Like a deer in headlights at that point, and definitely learned the hard way, and it's really exciting, but it hasn't been easy. Basically, sleeping is not an option right now, and but I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's been great.
Give everybody the 30-second bio so they know who the hell you are here.
Well, I'm Mike Smith, or Michael Smith, but most people know me as Mike. I've lived in Newport for 5 years. I grew up in East Greenwich, Rhode Island, but I have 3 kids, and I own a small business in Newport. And I've never run for public office, but like many of my neighbors and business people I know in throughout Rhode Island and Newport and Jamestown, we're just really tired and upset with the way things have been going for so long, and the condition of the state, especially the business climate and the way that affects our future and affects our kids. And
my father used to say whenever I said we, you know, I'm sure you know the, what's this we, fill in the blank. So when you say we, who's we? What's this we blank?
You know, I should start saying Mike Smith more, I guess, but then I'll sound like Bob Dole. But I guess I think of my team. I think of my campaign manager, the volunteers that have come out in droves to help us. And I really look at it as a group effort, really, to really not just unseat the Senate president, more so try to change the climate of our state.
Okay, so the we isn't the whole district. You don't have that confidence yet.
When I say we, I look at my campaign as a team effort to transform Newport, Jamestown, and Rhode Island.
I think people would enjoy that humility or gravitate toward it, and I'm guessing that's kind of how you run the campaign. I can tell by the vibe, which I think is a good and healthy thing. You know, it's interesting that you say you're not running against the Senate president because
well, I am.
You are, but I get what you're saying. But you've got that line that you've got to ride between being the David and Goliath upstart, try to slay the giant at the top,
right,
versus what is really a inside the district constituency argument that is germane to the district as well as to the state. That's
right.
It's an interesting finesse, isn't it? Talk to me about it.
Well, I think there's basically both left and right of the political dial. What I'm finding when I've knocked on at least 4,000 doors, maybe, is that
Really?
yes.
Okay, I buy it.
Well,
some people say it, and I know it's not
I got
true.
the notes.
And you got the worn-out shoes.
Yes,
Okay.
a couple. And basically, what I'm finding is that people are upset by the way our government is moving in Rhode Island as compared to other states. We're business unfriendly, not just because we overregulate businesses and make it difficult, giving us the ranking as the 50th worst state for small business, but the rank, when you really look into the articles on why we're so business unfriendly, a lot of it is because of our political climate, which Teresa Paiva-Weed has been leading. She's the leader of the Senate, and the pay-to-play, the backroom politics, which are the norm in Rhode Island, unfortunately, are not as accepted in other states.
She has been successful for a long time. So the incumbency problem, plus the asterisk who she is, weighs on people? Because there's a certain amount of juice that you have in your district when your district senator is the boss, right?
Yes.
You running into that at all?
Well, my opponent is, Teresa is spending a lot of money right now. She's close to $80,000. And
Which means she must have some polling data that tells her that you are in this thing.
we are definitely in this thing. The excitement all over Newport and Jamestown, the buzz we
You have no polling data, right?
Nope.
Okay.
We have no money. But basically, we're getting a lot of support more and more every week. We kind of live week to week, day to day. So we can buy more yard signs, we can buy advertising and do things.
So talk to me about the first question. I interrupted you, it's my bad. So talk to me about the neuroses that residents have, voters have, when they say, I may not like it that much, but she's got the juice, she's got the power, and we have the power, so let's not let it go. Right.
Well, there's definitely, she's spending campaign money, but the other thing that's occurring is she has some money that she's able to spend at her discretion.
I don't think you got my question. If I'm a voter, I like the fact that my senator runs the show.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not just battling an incumbent who's been there for a while, you're battling an incumbent who runs the show. She's the Senate president. That weighs heavy on the voter.
I'm finding that in Newport and Jamestown that people are not as concerned as much that she's the Senate president as much anymore because of the condition of Newport. Okay. Newport's economy is continuing to in winter months become more and more bleak. Our roads are atrocious if you've been in Newport. Our traffic situation, and as far as the economic vision for our city, it's just not occurring. Teresa Paiva-Weed's vision for the city has been trying to help a casino go forward, where my economic vision is many things, but one of them is the North End Economic Innovation Hub.
I want to talk, next segment we'll talk about both those things. So let me ask you just about your experience on the ground. If I had a nickel for every upstart candidate that I've talked to in my career who felt like they were getting the vibe from the people when knocking on doors, even 4,000, I'd be a rich man. Sometimes a nice guy like you knocks on the door, says some things, and people go, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
Close the door and go, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. We've legitimized our campaign. I really believe we have, because the support we're getting, initially I believe what you're saying, that people were just like, I seem like a nice guy. But the support we're getting is not just in handshakes and smiles. We're getting more financial support in the last few weeks from key people throughout Newport and Jamestown that believe in our cause. And I am not running as if I have this thing or I am some pie in the sky type of person. I am running as if I'm 20 points behind and up until an hour before the polls close.
Well, obviously, when you're at those 4,000 doors, you got to tell them you're about something, and when we come back, we'll find out what he says. And we'll talk about this casino thing, because it is a very, very high-profile issue in Newport. Stay with us. Welcome back. Mike Smith is my guest. He is a first-time candidate running for state senate in Newport, Jamestown, against Teresa Paiva-Weed, the Senate president. This Newport Grand question 1, question 2 is a big, big deal for the state. It's a big deal at home for you guys, and it was one of your early clarion calls and cries when you came here in July talking about it. So what's bubbling up right now with the Paolino proposal and how people feel about it, and is that sinking in, like a glove with your candidacy?
Well, what I find as a Newport resident and with a lot of the people in Newport, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, is they really are very independent people. We're somewhat of island people in a sense, where they don't like being told what to do. They also don't like the overreaching of Providence, and that's why a lot of people feel we've become Providence's ATM machine. I mean, people come from all over the world to go to Newport and Jamestown. They're not taking, we
got our own damn tourism economy. You're not going to tell us what to do, type of thing, right?
Right, and okay. I mean, you're not seeing cruise ships pull up into Central Falls and things like that. So that'd be pretty hard up the river, anyways. But But with the casino,
you're going to have a hard in your next successful statewide race. You're going to have a hard time in Central Falls now.
No.
But I'm kidding. Anyway, I don't want to bust up your train of thought. So you're saying more or less there's a provinciality, a parochial thing going on in the district that is offended by Joe Paolino, former Providence mayor, business guy, owns the towers, coming down trying to do that deal?
Well, and the way the amount of money they're spending, they're spending millions to promote this casino, and the fact that Senator Paiva Weed was involved with Joe Paolino in the room at the 3 a.m. deal back in June, and the fact that she's now against the casino, it's people are just not trusting Senator Weed.
She's flipped.
So
You're saying she's flipped?
Yes.
Yeah. Is your no on the question?
No.
Yes.
We've always been no.
Yes, you're no. Who's on first? Third base. You were somewhat tentative about that answer back in July. My recollection was that you were leaning no, but you had some qualifiers.
Well, it was the way the question might have been framed. I've always been no.
Okay.
But it was if the casino did pass, I would want it to be successful, and I would want it to not, if that were to happen. But I've always been no to the expansion of the casino.
So is your campaign matching up with the no on casino thing? And is that the demonstrative component of your campaign?
There's no doubt that if this anti-casino movement wasn't occurring, that we would not be riding the wave we're riding now.
What is your projection about the casino question itself?
As far as will it win or not?
Yes.
I don't believe it's going to pass. I just, from the, and it's not just a vibe feeling, it's just the amount of the way that the anti-casino movement has really rallied and how organized they are and how much heart they have is something that I don't think has ever occurred in
So
Newport.
let me ask the devil's advocate question. It's there. It's a facility that is active. No one's trying to start a new gaming facility there. Joe Paolino's trying to come in with some tables, change the complexion of the place, spruce it up a little bit. It's a dying quail anyway. What gives?
It's a dying quail, and I don't want to make it a bigger dying quail. I mean, basically, my view is a North End innovation hub. Newport and Jamestown are a prime area for innovation in the military. As far as innovation hub, there's a plan. There's drawings for the North End Innovation Hub. There's several political leaders in Newport, and there's a lot of community support for the North End Innovation Hub.
And the North End would be defined as the area from where to where?
The North End Innovation Hub is basically drawn out with the lands that are around where the casino is currently at. The plan going forward is that the bridge is going to be realigned. I don't know if you've ever been to Newport, but when you get off, it's called the Bridge to Nowhere.
Yeah, it's Pan and Neck.
Yes, and so it's one of those crazy designs that happened back in the 70s or so. And
it took me 2 hours to get to Fort Adams for a wedding one beautiful summer Saturday.
Yes.
I left the house at noon. The wedding was at 2:30.
Yep.
My wife said we didn't leave early enough. I said, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
We got there at 2:45, sweating. I get it. You can't get off the bridge some days, and
that's why you have to
you're
have a
stuck
moped to live there,
all over
which
the
I
place.
have a nice little moped.
Yeah.
But as far as the bridge to Nowhere is going to be realigned anyways, and there's going to be a number of lands freed up which have been zoned for what is called the North End Innovation Hub. Mm-hmm. And as far as what is there now, I believe it will eventually die off and be sold. I believe that the current owner wants to sell this, and a convention center, a civic center. Joe Paolino has been pushing this monstrosity as a entertainment center, as a health spa. That's been the best one, that it's a health spa. And I think that'd be great. Let's just make it an entertainment center. Let's make it where Billy Joel is going to come to town as he promises.
Okay. So highlight for me in the last couple minutes that we have exactly, other than the local challenge there, what kind of voting senator you would be in the chamber. Philosophy, real quick.
Sometimes I hear other politicians say, let's restore Rhode Island, let's restore Rhode Island politics. I mean, my parents and my grandparents and myself, I've never known Rhode Island to be very good in that area. I think we need to change and reinvent Rhode Island's view of government
From
and
what
view
to
of business.
What? From what to what?
Well, for one, being business friendly. And my first thing that I would really like to do is to call, is to have a roundtable with all the business leaders in Newport and Jamestown, and see what their concerns are. Because there's a lot of concerns.
You haven't done that yet as a campaigner?
Oh, we've met with numerous businesses, and we have a lot of things. But I mean, as far as having a real discussion, as far as what can we do to change things, what are other states doing? What's like New York doing? What's Massachusetts doing? What are the things they've done to turn their economies around?
Let me ask you a question. Will you vote yes on the CONCON? Question 3, yes or no, on the Constitutional Convention?
I'm for the Constitutional Convention. I mean, I don't want it to become there's concerns that it'll be all just about social issues.
Fair.
I mean, right now in Newport, we have a situation where the local ballot has been put on the statewide ballot. That's just one area that I think needs to be addressed as far as how that occurred.
Yeah, it's a structural problem.
Right.
All right, well, good luck.
Thank you.
It's I don't think it's quite David and Goliath, but it'd be a shot heard around the General Assembly, that's for sure.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll see what happens. Mike
Thank
Smith
you.
running against Teresa Paiva-Weed. Jamestown, Newport, November 4th. We'll wrap up. Stay with us. We love to know what is on your state of mind. Voicemail 228-1886, email, Facebook, post, or tweet. Don't forget the E in York. Here's one that I think is always interesting. It's all about Bob Healy's hair. We all know that the candidates are envious of his hair, so let's take the issue off the playing field. Rhode Island voters, look beyond the hair, and you'll see who's the clear choice for your next governor. Well, Alan Fung is well cropped there, but Bob Healy is Bob Healy. You ain't going to change it. Look past, he says. Good idea. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.